Nile Marr, singer, songwriter, guitarist, fronting his band Man Made, coming from Manchester to play at Barnsley's Opium on Friday night, April the 22nd. He's also famously the son of the Smiths' own Johnny Marr. So I've got him on Skype and I want to ask him first of all, blessing or accursed, the son of Johnny Marr.
I mean, the biggest thing for me that I've found is people who have grown up with my dad's music, and one of the benefits of my dad being a legacy artist for people is they might have got into him when they were teenagers, and now they're in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and they still get to listen to his music, and they can still come out and see him. And so for me, the thing that I've really found of people who are real fans of what my dad does, not just the Smiths, just fans of my dad, is they really want to like us, and that's the experience that I've had myself. Is it's been nothing but encouragement, because, and for me, obviously, I want to be good for them, because I can imagine if you have an artist who you feel so connected with because you've had so much time with their music, and then their son's in a band, and you like the son's band, you just must really feel part of the family. So for me, it's nice because we have people who really do want to like us.
Now you've got two choices when you're growing up. You can either rebel against your parents and what they stand for and embrace it. Now you had one of the coolest dads on the planet. What was it like really growing up in that environment?
I mean, it was, the real benefit was I had really supportive parents, parents who understood the value of pursuing art. And for both me and my sister, we could have done anything, and we would have been encouraged as long as you meant it. That was the thing. We grew up around other artists and musicians in the house all the time, and we got to see how creative adults work and conduct themselves. And I think it's an amazing way to grow up because you have a real value on creativity, and so many people who have to really fight against, like archaic ideas about what, it is to be an artist and the value in it, especially when it's so tough, it's so tough to want to carve out your path as a creative person. And obviously for us, it's still tough like everyone else, but we had just support from our parents and encouraging, where it would be right. It was never, why are you still playing guitar at midnight? We didn't have that. It was actually like, it did come a few times where it's like, you have to stop playing guitar at 3 a.m.
Niall, I've got a son, I tell him the same thing, but
That's the thing. So from that point, it was a good place to grow up, because if you, like I say, we could have done anything, but if you try,
But now, was it really like, every Sunday you had Morrissey and the Gallagher brothers hanging around at your house? Is that the environment? Is that what it really was like?
Well, no, because I've never met Morrissey. I mean, I think the Smiths broke up I don't know when the Smiths broke up. Is it mid-80s? And I was born in 1992, so my dad's had quite a few years to make some new friends.
But now I think the NME honoured your dad with the Godlike Genius Award. I mean, these are big footsteps to follow in, aren't they? Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean, he's got pretty small feet, so I don't know. No, but like I say, I think it's more just everyone. I only ever really get asked questions like that, by journalists when I'm talking to real people at shows. It's nothing but, this is great. We're so glad that you're doing it, and they're really nice and they really like us, and because I think for a lot of people it would be a real drag if we were shit.
But in terms of influences, I mean, it must have influenced you growing up. What were the influences as you grew up?
Well, obviously, it wasn't like the Smiths was played around the house. So I always when people always ask me, "Oh, do you listen? Like, you must have listened to the Smiths." I'm like, "No," you know. But for me, I was influenced by American culture and American bands because that was what I saw as exciting, and that was what was played around the house, and because as a guitar player, especially in England, bands like Fugazi had no equal in the UK. If you're a guitar player, you see the way they conduct themselves and the way they work and the music that they make, and as a guitar player, you're like, well, that's where it's at. That like those guys are the real champions of modern guitar music. And so it was bands like Fugazi and I remember I remember when my dad said told me he'd been asked by Modest Mouse to join, and Modest Mouse were one of my favorite bands, and so it was incredible to then be part of real like American music heritage, at an age that was very influential for me, those like early teens, your Sponge years, and then that's where I really honed my influences, and when you realize that's when you start to work out what you really like and what kind of person you want to be, and but it was always American bands and American skate culture, and everything that came from that, because that's, to me, that was it, the DIY thing in England is very different, and I learned it from American DIY.
That's really interesting because people would think because you're from Manchester, that's where the influences have been. It's the Manchester crowd, but you're saying that the influences were actually from America?
Well, yeah, because you're not. This is the thing that I think a lot of people in Manchester bands have had to fight against for a long, long time, where you get, and I'm not sure whether it's out of ignorance or laziness or both, where they see a band from Manchester and go, oh, they must like X, Y, and Z, and they must sound like X, Y, and Z, and then you only get compared to bands that existed in that era. And for a lot of artists on all, in all mediums in Manchester, you've really had to fight against people, and it's always the generation above you who aren't willing to let the city grow and evolve and mature. It's like people are now starting to wake up from the 90s hangover, and it's understandable when a lot of people have, those are their references, and no one's guilty for not having the same references as us, because how could you? Because you've people from different backgrounds and different generations.
Every city has got its music heritage. I mean, here in Sheffield, we're really proud to the fact that we've got everything from Def Leppard and Joe Cocker right through Human League, Evan 17, ABC, right up to the Arctic Monkeys, and now bands like the Sherlocks. You've got to be proud to be part of the Manchester heritage, surely.
It's great to be part of a city that music is the currency. That's pretty great. In Manchester, that absolutely everyone has an opinion on music because it's a music town, and that's great. But like I say, I think people, and I lived in Sheffield for a long time, and I saw the Arctic Monkeys hangover affect my friends firsthand, who were Sheffield locals, and everyone wants to compare it to what they think is easy, and you don't let the city grow and you don't let the city move on, because there are plenty of people that you go, yeah, this period happened and it was what got famous. Take Seattle, it's the same. You have, everyone wants a city to stay a time capsule and stay the same, and the reality of people come into the city with new ideas, and if you are unwilling to roll with the city changing, it really affects it, and like I say, that we're only just starting to feel like Manchester's being allowed to wake up from the 90s hangover.
Yeah, it's interesting because if we were to say that, well, because we had the electro bands in the 1980s, then If we'd not progressed and changed, we wouldn't have had the Arctic Monkeys, would we?
No, and if you say like, oh, now Sheffield must sound like the Arctic Monkeys, you'd never have bands like Seize the Chair.
It must still be great though to have a dad like Johnny Marr in your corner, and I guess he must come out and support you on gigs. Does he come out? Does he have to get in a disguise so people don't know he's there?
I mean, bear in mind, through most of my time growing up, and especially from when I started writing songs, my dad was on tour. My dad was in bands. I think Modest Mouse, I remember one year with Modest Mouse, they played over 300 shows in a year. That's the reality. So my dad, when I've been away and when I've been writing and been working in bands, my dad's not been around, and I've not been around to go to his shows either. So it's sort of, we meet up when we can, when we see each other, and it's like, all right, we're both running bands, so we're both really busy, so it's sort of every now and again you'll be like, oh, here, like, oh, I'll play you what I've been doing, and then we can do that, and then it's usually we only get, you get very, very small windows of time to hang out.
But you know what? As his son, he must be very proud of you about what you're doing and what you're up to.
Oh yeah, no, I think so, I really think so. I mean, and because again, that just comes from having supportive parents, that have been it once, with both my mum and dad. If you see both me and my sister working hard at something, then that's the important bit. Like I say, we could have done anything. My sister's not a musician. My sister's a literary agent, and she's a writer. And my mum and dad are like, that was encouraged.
The creativity's in the genes, isn't it?
Yeah,
Does he turn up to gigs? I mean, does he get mobbed?
No, I think people get over it pretty quick. People are like, "Oh, right, he's there," and they're like, "Well, he's obviously there to see a band, so why would we talk over live music?"
Of course, he's there to see your band, a Manchester-based Man Made. You're headlining a UK tour at present. What kind of reaction are you getting from the fans?
It's been great. Everyone's been really positive and really nice. We like to create an environment that is very much not, here we are on stage, you guys are down there, and the audience are there to be consumers, and we're just there to play to heads and bodies and then leave. We create an environment that is like, everyone realizes that we're all people in a room together experiencing something that exists in a very specific moment in time, and then you're all part of it, so for me there's a lot of talking with everyone because that's what I like, and that's what has value to me. So we really like playing to audiences because I consider it playing to very like-minded people, because there's a lot of other things fighting for your attention on a weekday, and you're coming out to take in art and be part of it, and a lot of other bands, they don't have to share that view and they don't have to share that message, but for us it's not really good enough to be just a consumer, and it's why we do, like, we're only interested in playing charity shows in our hometown anymore, because we realize, well, it doesn't cost us anything to travel there, so we don't get paid anyway, so why don't we just make it a charity event and do something that benefits the community? And when we put on shows like that ourselves, everyone feels great because everyone's turning up feeling like you're there to contribute and that you're part of something, and we really like creating that environment.
It can be hard for bands starting out to get a payday. I mean, is it about making noise and having fun, and if you get a lucky break, you get a lucky break?
I don't think it's ever been about looking to get paid. Like, I don't know any bands who have gone into it thinking this is a smart financial decision, because that seems the most daft idea I've ever heard. The fact that, like, you get into it because it's what you have to do. There's no alternative. That is for me. And when you're working, that's what's fun. It's fun going out and meeting people. It's fun going out and playing to people that, you necessarily like. in towns you wouldn't have been to, and people that you may have never come across, and you realize that you share a lot of the same principles and the same ideas. And that's why we do everything we can for charity, because that's what's fun to us, where we're like, well, no one's getting paid, so why don't we use what we do to do something that benefits the community and benefits people.
You've got a brand new album out called TV Broke My Brain, so come on now, what's the story behind the title?
Yeah, I wrote it after I was living in Sheffield at the time, and that particular song, I'd just been to an art exhibition about how it was specifically on cartoons, and how that this idea that, you know, like, cartoons will rot your brain, and I wrote the song that really, for me, I finally like hit the nail on the head with something that I'd been trying to say for a long time in a lot of songs. And you know, the whole album is just really this expression of thoughts about our relationship with technology, you know, and how what is pushed on you by a corporation that has no interest in you as an individual. It has no interest in bettering your life as an individual and making your life richer. And the fact that that is just embraced and should be embraced without thought was unsettling to me, you know. And so the album is not making a judgment on technology. It was asking the questions about how you embrace it, and will it make your life richer? Because the most significant moments in my life are never involved, you know, a screen's never involved, you know. Obviously, I'm not a Luddite. We're doing an interview on Skype, and there are so many things that technology makes possible that are fantastic and really, really important. But to just embrace it unthinkingly was something that I really wanted to explore, and that is a concern for me and weighs on my mind a lot, you know.
In terms of the rest of the album, what can you tell us about that? What can fans expect?
I've never understood bands that go, right, we have made a record, now let's play it for you. For us, it's the record's like the menu of what you are and what you do. And so it's like, buy the album so you get a sense of what the band do live. And so it's very much that. So what Man Made are our live shows, you know, and it's the live experience. And the theme of TV Broke My Brain is very, you know, it is about that all the way through the album. It's that thinking about organic experiences and the value to that, you know, and weighing it up against the digital life that you have, you know. And that's very much the theme. I mean, there's a pretty, the album's evolved over what songs we've stuck with playing live over quite some years of playing. So there's quite a broad, you know, like variety on the album, you know, while still sounding very much like us and very current to what we do, you know. So the album just sounds like what we do live.
Ah, it's terrific. Well, listen now, thank you for your time. Just want to remind everybody that you're playing at the Opium in Barnsley on Friday night, April the 22nd. You've got the rest of the tour, and all our details will be on our website. And obviously we've got the album to look forward to as well. So thank you for your time, and thanks for taking part in this Skype call as well. I'm sure there are going to be more of these to come. Thanks for your time.
Great, no, appreciate it. Nice one, man. All right, cheers. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.